Hello, everyone. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Team Avatar and my avatar to the Diversity Mahotsav 2022. I'm Archana Satish, and I will be your host for today's evening. As we start, here are a few hygiene checks for a seamless virtual experience. Please close all other applications on your computer and log out from your organization's VPN to conserve internet bandwidth. We would like to thank our partners, featured partners, Kellogg Brown and Root Engineering and Construction India Private Limited and Saint Cobain India Private Limited. Our social media hashtags are hashtag Diversity Mahotsav 2022 and hashtag Celebrating Diversity. Do post your experience at Diversity Mahotsav on your SM handles with the hashtags. I would also like to inform you that all the Diversity Mahotsav episodes are being live streamed on our YouTube channel. Scan the QR code seen on your mobiles or laptops or computers to watch the Diversity Mahotsav live on YouTube. Alternatively, you can go to the link that is seen on the same slide. You can also use the link that we have posted on the chat box. Celebrating diversity in the workplace should be about bringing the workforce together in a natural way where we can celebrate, engage, and champion each other's uniqueness. Diversity in the workplace is all about empowering employees by respecting and embracing what makes them different in all the ways. It means appreciating and understanding one another by truly embracing the differences. Avatar, a pioneer in the field of diversity, equity, and inclusion, had a vision to see more women participate in the workforce. While we have expanded our impact across diversity strands to cover people with special needs, disabilities, LGBTQ+, to name a few, we have also recognized the need to mainstream discussions around diversity and inclusion. Let's listen from the founder, Dr. Soundarya Rajesh, on the vision of My Avatar.
I am delighted to share that My Avatar is India's first and only portal to celebrate diversity. This means that we are a portal that addresses ourselves to different diversity talent pools, different underrepresented groups of talent like women, second career women, members of the LGBTQ community, persons with disability, veterans, and the silver generation. And what do we do at myavatar.com? First of all, we provide jobs from a whole host of organizations that are committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We also create experiences and opportunities for people to come in touch with each other, to form communities, and finally, we also offer skilling programs to ensure that every individual who registers to myavatar.com has the opportunity to reach the fullest of their potential.
Diversity Mahotsav, the month-long celebration by myavatar.com, Avatar's #1 diversity hiring portal, is one of its kind initiative. It aims to look for multi-pronged strategies to explore the world of opportunities out there for diverse groups. Diverse in its approach with experiential sessions, success stories, and skill-building workshops, it recognizes that one size doesn't fit all, and there is a need for different levels of intervention. And with the second successive edition of Diversity Mahotsav, we look forward to expanding our impact in celebrating your diversity. I, Archana, once again welcome you all on behalf of Team Avatar, India's premier diversity, equity, and inclusion solutions firm, and myavatar.com, India's only diversity hiring portal, to the Diversity Mahotsav. Let's celebrate ourselves. Allyship is the key to unlocking the power of diversity. As allies, we have the power to advance and advocate the culture of inclusion through intentional and conscious efforts. Let's hear from the leaders of Avatar on what allyship means.
This International Women's Day, let's celebrate allyship and belongingness. This IWD, let's bring in the allies.
Utilizing one's power of influence to make a difference in others' lives is what is allyship. Anyone can become an ally, and each of us requires an ally.
With almost the entire workforce working from home, it was a challenge for everyone, irrespective of the gender. There were serious questions on how the work from home model will impact inclusion, belongingness, and productivity on the whole. There was only one answer to this: allyship.
But what we have witnessed in the BCWI study by Avatar is the incredible commitment from corporates to build a diverse workforce as well as have an intention to empower every woman in their organization.
The ultimate aim of allyship is belongingness. Everyone wants to feel like they belong, but having allies makes it easier. Allyship is one of the action and belongingness is the outcome.
So promotion of allyship and belongingness can be sometimes tricky, but not impossible. Pitfalls are an opportunity to grow, but being cautious beforehand will aid you greater in your sense of purpose. And remember, an ally is not a badge to earn. This is something that can be measured only by those around you and by people who deem you to be an inclusive leader.
Creating a culture of belongingness is a journey. It's a journey that covers the fundamental human need of feeling valued and being recognized for who we really are. And this journey isn't a straight or an easy path to take. Being able to identify the difference between someone being included versus someone feeling belonged is a first step in this journey of belongingness.
Organizations can create a culture of belongingness only when they are able to empower their people. Happy International Women's Day to all women and allies celebrating this special day.
With this beautiful thought, let me now invite our two eminent speakers for the lightning talk session on the topic Journey Towards Building Mindful Allies. Mr. Venkata Murugan, Team Leader Operations and Head, DTI India, and Shreya V, Team Leader Human Resources World Class Complex, Saint Cobain Glass India Private Limited. Mr. Venkata Murugan is currently the head of technical for all the glass manufacturing plants of Saint Cobain in India, located at Chennai, Gujarat, and Rajasthan. He is also the head of DTI India. Shreya is passionate about human resources and has championed key initiatives at Saint Cobain, key member in implementation of 2 brownfield projects, establishing a new business called Homes and Hospitality in Sri Perambatoor. She shares key interest in connecting with people and driving people initiatives for large-scale operations. Over to you, speakers.
A very good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone can see my screen. Can anyone confirm?
Yes, your screen's visible. Yes.
Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. Like Archana actually spoke, me and NSV, we call Mr. Venkat Murugan NSV, and we are here to share our journey on building allyship, or rather building mindful allies at Saint Gobain. So before we actually dig into this, we would want to give you a brief background about, how it all started. We won't take a lot of time on that, but for you to have a complete context of what we're going to talk about. Like most other organizations, Saint Gobain also started this passionate journey on diversity, which was definitely, it was envisioned by the leadership, and we luckily we had a like-minded group of employees who were also very interested for that. And I think a couple of years back is when this was taken across very seriously as one of the business agendas itself, as it should be. And I think which is also in line with our purpose of the organization, which is making the world a better home. And how else can we make the world more beautiful by, it is by including diversity. They are the 50% of the population. So why not actually capitalize them and give us opportunity and give them opportunities as we have in the organization. So what basically happened was we had a gender perception survey where we tried to understand where exactly we stand as an organization on this very abstract topic. And we try to build a mission before really getting into this particular project. And with various workshops that were conducted across the country, across various businesses, including all the leadership who brainstormed. This is the vision, this is the mission code that we actually set for our diversity journey, which is attract, develop, and retain a gender diverse workforce by building an inclusive culture that empowers women and create role models for the future. So, we have a strategic plan at Saint-Gobain called as Grow and Impact, which is for the complete business and all the employees, which basically has 6 pillars. And I'm very happy to share that one of the important pillars, which is a mandate for all employees to follow whenever they are setting their goals, whenever they're performing. One of the most important pillars that is being taken up very seriously is this pillar, which you're seeing on screen right now. So one of the key pillars is to build best teams in a diverse and inclusive workspace, I think, which is a part of our strategic plan. So there is a definite mandate. So we did have a few women, but of course, mostly in enabling functions, like, your purchasing, your finance, your human resources, some of them also in marketing. So at the end of the day, we are a manufacturing organization, right? The core of our complete business is actually manufacturing, glass manufacturing. So though we had a few interesting mandates, we want to achieve 25% by 2025. We were constantly increasing the number of people who are getting into the organization, constantly increasing the number of women in leadership, because without leadership, how can this actually be possible? Focused recruitments. So when it came to recruitment and focused recruitment, one of the topics came was, let us have focused recruitment for diversity. Then we thought that yes, that could increase the number game. What can we do? Something that is, breaking the glass ceiling, and something that is very aspirational for women to join a company like Saint-Gobain without any kind of an inhibition. And it is aspirational for for all the people in the organization to say that, listen, I want to go for diversity. So that is when it is actually one of our managing directors. It was we in one of the meetings, we decided, why can't we just have a complete line actually run by women? And I think it was an idea which was taken down quite well with our operations head. It is Mr. NSP, whom you can see on screen as well. And we decided as a team that, let us take a particular plant. It is the mirror manufacturing plant. And let us try to make it run by all women. Let's do this. Let us set an example. And, a woman running an entire line can just break n number of gender stereotypes in so many ways possible. And it is so aspirational for people to join manufacturing as a career for a woman. So that is where this whole, idea started. And today, when we are talking, we are not going to take you through the entire broad diversity presentation, which most organizations have. I'm sure that the people who have joined here, they have really good initiatives in their organization, and it's very like-minded. But we're going to focus on this particular initiative, as in how we approached it. And most importantly, how did we actually build allies at various stages of this very, very important and very strategic journey that we took. So over to you, NSV.
Thank you, Shreya. As Shreya mentioned, in the Sriperumbudur World Class Complex, which among the 1,800 odd manufacturing locations we have across 76 countries, is the single largest investment and the biggest in terms of the turnover. And in addition to the float lines and the magnetron coater, we also have a mirror manufacturing unit with 6 million square meters per annum production capability, up from 5 million, which was expanded with an expansion last year, along with this diversity plan as well. So this mirror plant has been started in the year 2002, and it's now in operations until last year by an all-men team, and it's a 20-year plant running quite well. And we make mirror as well as Planilak type of products. And this team is operating this line 24/7. It of course has a head of the plant, and there are shift teams who work 24/7, teams managing the show. And there are 5 members in each of the team, including the shift leader. You can see the organization structure there. So it's like any continuous process industries, though it's possible, unlike many other, even our float lines, the continuous process industry, where we cannot stop, but this line can be stopped and started, but it's by nature of our business. So we are running it on a 24/7 basis. This is the plant that we wanted to go into, an all-women manufacturing plant. Next slide, please, Shreya. So allyship. So this is the topic that was given to us, and so how we have focused on this particular point is what we want to elaborate with some live examples. Before we get there, just a small additional briefing about our plan for the diversity. We have not that only last year we just wanted to go into a diversity focus, etc. It has been always there in the plan. We knew that it's a bit of a big challenge for us, increasing the numbers. And for nearly 2 decades, with a lot of push for 10 years, 15 years back, there have been KPIs put in place. We also are aware that it's not just in Saint-Gobain difficulty that we are experiencing. We look at the statistics, even nationwide, there are 44% of the graduates are women, but only 14% of them are in employment. And also in 2011, when the participation of women in the workforce was around 42% of the engaged in workforce, reduced to 28%. And so it's kind of a challenge, not just for Saint-Gobain, to have women come on board and have the work. So in our objective to have an harmonious and a pleasant workplace, to make a better home, the products and the people who make it, we wanted to take it with the better planning and go into the aspect of building allies. So what is the role of allies in the organization was something which was debated, and in this aspect we were having internal experts, the human resources as well as the leadership, and the existing women employees came on board, pitched in, and brought in ideas. How do we go for building allies in the organization in our diversity plan for the mirror plant? But in addition, we also went with 100% sensitization of all our employees towards the diversity, and we had an additional program for a set of people who are expected to be a kind of a cohort, if I can say, and support us in this and drive this across the organization. So to understand the role of each of the members across the organization was well discussed, along with several thought leaders as well as consulting companies who are having rich experience in terms of giving ideas as well as handholding us in terms of this particular process. And so making a plan in terms of defining the role of allies in the organization is very important, and we took that for the last 2 years in terms of sensitizing the entire organization. So this is one topic. The second point is in terms of initial stages on the onboarding. So when not only it was a little bit definitely easier when we took lateral entrants, people with a few years of experience who have gone through the manufacturing experience for 2 to 5 years, joined us as shift leaders. But when we took quite a bit of 3 batches of diploma engineers in our organization. The entry level is diploma engineers and graduate engineers. So when we took people fresh from the polytechnic, we wanted to make sure that the young women are taken through the onboarding session in a well-structured way. So, in the next slides, Shreya and I will be presenting how we went on to the onboarding. And so that was very carefully thought of. As I said, there are challenges. If you look at, if you want to start a new organization, starting with an 100% women is one bit of a challenge. And then making a change from an 100% men to an 100% women, that's an existing plant like ours, which is running for more than 20 years. That's a different kind of a challenge. And so each of this has to be well thought of, and the actions are sometimes could be generic, but most of the times it's a little bit more specific and customized. So we learned a lot in terms of how do we manage this transition and how do we take the young women on in the initial stages. The subsequent slides will give more information on that. So now the third point is, of course, in our organization, the leaders were all on board. But when we talk about the people in the spectrum of the diversity in terms of the choices, you see that there are 5 levels of people. The people who are very actively opposing a diverse candidate because it's like tough job, it's 24/7, it's physically demanding, and so on and so forth. A lot of reasons given as very valid reasons, but more, I think it's kind of an what we can classify as an active opposition. To the next level, people who are we can club as the passive opponents, and people who are silent about it. Let's see, know if they are successful. That kind of an category is possible. Then there are several people who are neutral to it, not engaging in a positive or negative way. And then there is a fourth level, which is the passive allyship, who are supporting but not engaging on need basis. They were supporting, and then there is an active allyship. So in these 5 categories, thankfully, we found that all our senior middle managers were falling into very strongly an active allyship group. So we didn't really have a difficulty in terms of nudging, pushing some of the people who are passive or passively allying or passively opposing or even sometimes actively opposing. Thankfully, did not exist in our case. And there were ideas and thoughts on how to deal with that in case we have to. So that it's important to also get to be aware of how do we understand each of the men in the organization, they fall into which category, and then how do we deal with them to be an active ally. That's the important role that we went through in this particular process. And the fourth one is in terms of cohorts. There is a like-minded group who are very, we can say that they are the active allies in the organization. It could be people of the same age group, from the same, kind of an education or an experience, if we can say, cohorts in terms of finding natural affinity towards someone. And there are women colleagues. So what we have done is for particularly the young women who have joined the organization with 0 to 2 years of experience, we identified not just the mentors which we have, but also the existing women colleagues, not just in the glass business. We have a strong presence of women in our IT department. We have a very strong induct team. We have an R&D team where several of the scientists, researchers are women, and so they all came on board. So we worked very collaboratively across the business, and we tapped the women resource across the businesses and made them as kind of mentors and friends, and so to make the women colleagues who are entering into our organization with less or more experience more comfortable. So that's the point number 4. And in terms of the point number 5, I did mention that thankfully all our leaders were active supporters, but then we also wanted to make sure that the active support is even more stronger, and there are a bit of a people who are closer, not just, I mean, not talking about the leader, it's the middle manager and the shift leaders, the shift members in the plants. How do we kind of nudge them and move them into and active supporter, identifying the group of people who are passive in support. And we had a lot of enriching examples when we went through the training program. I can say that in the last 2 years, I myself have gone through external consulting programs at least on 5 days equivalent of time, which is what most of us have spent on with consultants and training, which gives a lot of information. So instead of one of the things which I liked is in one of the programs, we sometimes become a little judgmental and kind of come to a conclusion that it is to be like this. We are more stereotyped based on what we think or we strongly believe based on our experiences in the past. That, for example, women may not like to travel for work so much. There are so amenities are not available in some places. To go to remote places, they may not be comfortable. And in case of people in pregnancy, they may not like to take up this particular job, which they perceive as a category of either a travel job or a tough job. But none of these things needs to be assumed. That was the main thought. And just ask. That was the simple word that kind of taught to us. Don't assume anything what the women want, and just ask. So similarly, I think taking cue from the same, I think we engage with every member in terms of asking them very openly and listening to their concerns and their opinions, and whatever the voices were all well recorded, unless it's unreasonable, which we thankfully did not have. We had kind of thoughts to engage, and which we think in a very consultative way, we were able to make several people become very engaged. For example, the point number 5 and 6, I'll tell you, there are quite a people when we had the 4 shift teams in which the women have to go in. There is already being managed by men, and we find that we just ask feedback, and then the women were quite comfortable, and they were quite happy. Majority of them to say that I am quite happy with the shift leader A and shift leader B, for example. And so it kind of provides an additional enthusiasm and the motivation to that particular person to kind of mentor, coach the team which is going to take over from them. And it also kind of makes it a healthy competition for the other shift leaders to become better than their own colleagues, to kind of coach, mentor the women colleagues to take up the future roles. So it was kind of an, many times we think that there is a problem. Why do we have to deal with this problem? But we think that finally what we are going through, we are in the last phase of 100% transformation into the mirror operations with the women. We see that what we thought could be definitely a big problem. I'm not saying that it's 100% is smooth, but we are quite comfortable and confident that we will be able to go into the 100% by middle of next year. That's the objective with which we are going. This journey I see as a great opportunity, which often comes disguised as difficult problems. So by way of dealing with this, what is perceived as a difficult problem to handle or a topic to work on, we see it as an opportunity on several fronts. And what better way to measure than 2 of the indices? One is the KPIs, our production performances, and second is in terms of the engagement score. So both have gone up significantly, not just for the women employees, but the old men employees have given an increasingly high score in the engagement survey compared to the last year. And that's one proof that the team on both the men and the women are happy working in the way we are now. And second, even the KPIs, as I said, no, we did invest a bit on expansion, but we have gone ahead. In fact, 3 months in this year, the women team have got the best of the output, and they have gone to reach the highest ever production on many of the months this particular year. So there's a proof of the pudding is in eating. So there is a planned way in which we took on the transition from the men team to the women's team. We have wanted to build on the allies. The allies is in different forms. Just to summarize here, one, the leadership team. Thankfully, in our organization, they were all active allies in the middle management and the team members. We took 100% of them into the consultative training and listening to them and taking the views, factoring them. Whatever infrastructure has been created will be sharing few slides on subsequent ones. The other allies is in terms of bringing in experienced people, women colleagues from the R&D department, the IT, the HR, and the other departments who are having experienced women quite strong and seen as a role model. So one of the things we also do is, in fact, head of our business is a woman, sits in Paris, and when she came, there are several our IT and innovation director. She also came in, and several, even our quality director when she came. All the people, when they come in, we engage the women colleagues with them, be seen as a role model. What do we look for within the organization is few role models. So several of the members, both in India, and when we have the advantage of senior leaders visiting from the head of the overseas, we expose and have a direct interaction with our women colleagues. So that helps as one of the allyship that we see. And of course, within the joint team, the transition that's happening now, the men to the women team, we identify the active and the passive supporter, and a healthy activity is constantly engaged by way of consultative and training process. Shreya?
Yeah. So I think NSV very well summarized, like kind of who are those employees whom we can connect with, whom we can make as allies in this important diversity journey. Now, what we will do is we'll just take you through like the various stages in which, a woman has joined this particular plant, and who have actually been those allies for us, and what are those conscious efforts we had to make to, to strengthen this entire model of, running an all-women line. So I think one of the important things for any of this is leadership before anything. So I think earlier we were able to move a woman into the leadership of this particular plant through an internal mobility, and I think that played like a very big role in strengthening the complete model of getting them inside, aligning them with our culture of the organization, training them, making them ready, fit for the role, and more importantly understanding the softer aspects of their concerns. Where are they coming from, their perspective, because she has been in that situation. So I think the first and foremost thing was getting someone in the leadership role. That gave a lot of comfort for the women who are in the system in this particular plant. And then the second thing is getting people inside. So what basically happened was we generally look at diploma holders for our operations. And when we set out, to our surprise, though we did find a good number of diploma holders, we did not find them completely for the stream that we want to have for this particular operations. So what we did, we have in fact even roped in a couple of polytechnics. We've kind of signed a memorandum of understanding with them to enroll girl children in their respective polytechnics, who can come and do their internship with us, who can in future get selected. We will take them, and we will take them as a diploma apprentice, and we will train them, we will take them on roll. So this is kind of an arrangement that we have done. And I think these institutions who are from down south colleges, giving this opportunity to women children, and in turn supporting the organization and them, their family and livelihood, I think they are also playing an important role here. I think that should not go unnoticed. And so for these students who are actually joining us at an entry level, from a completely different background, they're coming to the city for the first time. And this is such a huge site. It's almost 177 acres. And, there is a line which is going to be run by completely women. It's very overwhelming. So their cultural integration, their expectations, aligning them to what we want out of them, I think that was a major area where everyone, not just HR, from operations, from manufacturing, from HR, that is where a lot of people had to play a lot of role. And this gave birth to a beautiful program called as Tulir, as they say in Tamil, and which basically does a complete alignment of these women, not just on soft skills, but also in core skills of, mechanical, electrical, and specific equipments and operations that are available in the mirror plant. It's a rigorous training that these girls go through, and it makes them so comfortable when they are actually in the plant. And when they actually come in, we kind of made like a structured module to make them very comfortable for taking that role and having that confidence, talking to people, getting the job done, and all of that. So when they come, as any other organization, we also have a set onboarding and induction. But what most importantly we did was we actually built a training content for close to 8 weeks. We partnered with an agency who came to our site, who visited, who saw that where are those important areas where, they'll have to do that physical work, where they'll have to understand the, equipment, the machinery, how to operate, and who are the people that they need to get the job done. Are they going to be, speaking to some of the outsourced employees? How will they get the work done from them? I think that was a very well curated training content made for them. And then they go to that particular training center, get trained, understand. And I think when these girls are back from this particular program, I think we can see a clear transformation in them, the way they are answering the questions, approaching, they're able to link what they learned and what they're actually seeing in the shop floor. There is a drastic change from what we got them before the training program. And most importantly, I think it makes them so confident, and they built like a close community among themselves. They are their own support systems, because for a period of 8 weeks, they are all with each other, and they've formed like a beautiful community. And I think even if somebody is having a problem, somebody else pitches in, and they have that kind of an understanding, which is actually, we can see that through this training. It's not just for the technical, it's much more than that. It's a sense of belongingness that they develop with the organization, and more importantly, between themselves. They create their own allies within the women. And after that, they come to the mirror plant, and then they undergo a shadow training. And I think the shadow training is very important part, wherein, the existing employees, the men employees, they actually have to do the knowledge transfer to these women. So, in terms of, giving them the opportunity to operate the particular workshop or a workstation in a standard condition, and taking a step back and allowing them to do things, guiding them, telling them, this is the right way to do, this is not the right way to do, you can do this more differently, getting them completely involved in the process. I think this is where some of our men employees actually kind of played the role of an ally. They gave a lot of comfort and a lot of confidence, because I don't think some of them have even seen a plant of this scale. But for them to come and operate some of these things very confidently, I think this is where they played a major role. And NSB, I would also like you to add your views on this particular point on, men giving that opportunity, supporting them in the shadow training.
Yes. So, in fact, it was quite contrary to the fear that we had, whether the men team will have a kind of an insecurity that there is a new team coming in and taking over the roles, and what about my future in the organization. So it was quite communicated well that the people who are going to create the future team, and in the process of handing over, do exceedingly well, will have a much higher recognition than the normal performances. That was very well communicated, and so people really took on them as one of their own personal interest. Uh, I don't want to say, but I can't stop saying this. Looking at depending upon their age group, looking at them as their own family members, like their daughters or sisters, and trying to really coach and make sure that the women are really getting into new roles in a seamless way. A few examples on this. For example, one of the shift leaders is quite keen to make sure that the women are getting the right training, but also understanding the difficulties in terms of some of the work that has to be done. Looking at the physical requirements of shifting some of the chemicals that we need to do the loading onto the tank. The team came up with so far it was not required, people were manually handling. And so the team came together and said, let's make it simple. They formed a cross-functional team and then came up with an Kaizen approach to modify some of the work. So the team, the men team, were quite not only doing the training part, but also understanding the need and the improvements that can be done to the process, which can be made much more from the ergonomics point of view, safety point of view. It became even better. So that's some of the examples that I thought I'll share.
Yeah. So this is like a gist of the complete initial training that they actually go through. So like how NSV also mentioned, this is where the real transformation of these women students that we see when they join here as apprentice, we see them transforming into employees. I think the kind of ownership that they learn and the confidence they gain is this program is like a complete game changer for them. And what actually happens here is there are like frequent visits by the existing team. They go and meet them at least once a week. There is a connect with them. There is a feedback taken from these girls. And, there is a constant updation of the content based on their feedback and the review mechanisms. How can it be the review mechanism so that they are very interested to come forward for the review to showcase their learning. And I think this is where the existing team, both men and women included, they play a very good role. And because aligning them at this stage is very, very crucial, is the most crucial. I think once they are aligned with what their role and what their expectation is, and they're trained for that particular thing, it's much more easier to mold them into our specific requirements. So here, I think all employees, including men, women, the plant head, team members, everyone actively participates in this and they play their role. And the same happens when they come to Mirror Plant as well. This is something that we already explained. We're just showing like how it is being happening in the particular site. And in the shadow training, like how we said, so every particular women employee will have like a person whom she will shadow, which is a male employee, and they will tell them what is the right thing to do, what is not the right thing to do, encourage them to get involved in a lot of involvement initiatives, like, small things like, 5S, mini 5S, putting a suggestion, guiding them on how to do a suggestion, guiding them on how to write reports, guiding them on how to replying to a mail, how to talk to an outsourced employee, and how to operate the equipment. Small things. I think this phase is like the most important phase. The first 3 to 4 months of when they are inside the shop floor is the most important phase, where all the employees, existing employees in the line, played a very, very critical role, and definitely the role of an ally. And this again, we told you, it's an assessment wherein it's also made interesting based on the feedback that is taken from the girls themselves. So we have like something called as a jam session, which is like a 1-minute session where they come and present topics of their interest, something that they are very inspired by, something they are very fascinated by, an equipment that they really like to work on. So they pick a topic and they present, and they are so confident in this particular process, and it plays like a it and presenting to everyone. And let me thank everyone who actually takes part in these particular reviews. It's not just the mentors who actually they shadow, it is them, it is the plant head, it is the operations head. All of them actually give their time, mindful amount of time in these kind of reviews. So it really gives a lot of builds a lot of sense of ownership, that there are people who are there for my development, who want to see me grow, who want to see me learn. So that kind of a sense of belongingness is what is built in this process. And this is some of the gist of some of the additional trainings that the girls are actually given. And this is actually a very interesting initiative. We actually took them to other plant visits where they can see how the women are actually operating. And when we just didn't take the women team in some of the visits, we took the other members as well, so that they also have the confidence of, that this is something that can be done. It's not something really that can't be done. And it's something, yes, it is a journey. It has its own stages. There will be challenges, there still are challenges, but as a team, if we can put our minds together, there are possible solutions that we can come out of. And most important ally, I think, for us are these role models. So what generally happens is, I think, for everyone, there is a role model, there is an aspirational role. We want to be like them. Someone whom we can relate to based on a personal journey, someone who can relate to based on the kind of role that they are actually performing currently. So I think for all these girls, I think whenever we had any senior leader coming in, we definitely ensure that, these girls connect with them, for a simple reason that they know that, it is possible. There are women who are in leadership roles, who are handling large roles, who've had a very similar journey like them when they started out, and who've had like similar struggles that is there in their mind that they will be facing in the future. Struggles related to personal life, struggles related to their professional career as well. And we used to have like open-ended sessions, meetings with them, where there is no structure. It's just an informal connect with them. We all used to just meet. We have like kind of like a coffee table conversation, and they just ask questions, and the kind of questions they ask is also so interesting. It's dependent on family. They talk about family, they ask about role, they ask about promotions, they've asked about how they coped, how they managed family as well as work, how they managed their child as well as work. Questions related to grooming, questions related to how to talk, how to approach problems, everything. I think these kind of interactions gave a lot of trust and confidence to these women, and having role models and seeing them in front of them, interacting with them in such large leadership roles actually gave a lot of confidence to them that, someday it is them who are going to take that particular role. So, and NSP, would you like to touch upon the way forward? After which we can go for.
So I'll just summarize my point on two aspects. One is in terms of there are certain challenges, difficulties that will always be there. So what we have looked in very strongly is when we look for a person to a role, we changed ourselves into, rather than fitting the person to a role, we started to fit the role to the person. So we went into a complete mindset change of fitting the role to a person rather than the other way. So that brought in a significant change in the way we have to do our diversity journey. The last point is in terms of the allyship. Our experience is, once we take on board the stakeholders, bring in the conviction into the minds, even if the clarity is not very 100%, but once we build in the conviction and have every stakeholder's buy-in, the day-to-day activities will ensure that our journey will finally take us to the destination. This is what we strongly are experiencing currently. Thank you once again to the Avatar team for this opportunity. That's all from my side, Shreya.
Yeah. So I'll also just want to end by saying that diversity is definitely not a standalone journey. It is an important pillar in the organization, as is your business, your finance, your operations, your manufacturing, everything. Diversity is also one of them. It is a part of your organization. And I think it is important for us to build allies, because I don't think any initiative can actually see the success of the day without having allies or people who actually believe in it. And I think the same is for diversity. For girls to come in, getting them is very easy, but somebody has to really take the ownership, in building their careers, in ensuring that they are working in a very supportive and a safe environment. Somebody who's really interested to retain them, understand their struggles, and actually make a career for them. And I think if people start taking this up consciously, this journey is not something that cannot be achieved. Yes, it is a journey. It will take a lot of time for people to get that buy-in. But I think from an organization point of view, having those continuous difficult conversations with them, having those continuous sensitization for all the employees, it will keep repeating in their minds whenever they are taking a decision or whenever they are talking about something to someone. So I think diversity can't be a standalone journey. As you have seen in this particular beautiful journey that we have taken, it is because of the involvement of so many people, both men and women, that this is made possible. To just cite an example, it is Mr. NSP who took this ownership of all women mirror line, and now we can see visible progress in that journey. So I think if people step up, take ownership, own diversity as their own agenda, I don't think that this journey is impossible. It is definitely possible. That's it from my side.
Wow, that was really a powerful session, isn't it? Thank you so much, speakers, for an insightful session. And with this, we have come to an end to the 9th day of Diversity Mahotsav. Thank you for joining in today. You have been a wonderful audience. We would once again like to thank our partners, featured partners, Kellogg Brown and Root Engineering and Construction India Private Limited and Saint Cobain India Private Limited. We have another exciting day planned for Thursday, that is 15th of December 2022. We have a workshop on the topic Goal-Orientedness featuring Dr. Nandini Murali, Vice President, Learning and Research, Avatar Group. Do join us on 15th September, Thursday, between 4 to 5 p.m. Please visit www.myavatar.com to explore various opportunities and activities that celebrate diversity. If you have not registered at myavatar.com as yet, do log on to myavatar.com and register now. Browse through to find jobs that might suit your skill sets, read articles of interest, upskill yourselves through various webinars conducted exclusively for you. Our social media hashtags for Diversity Mahotsav are hashtag Diversity Mahotsav 2022 and Celebrating Diversity. Do post your experience at Diversity Mahotsav on your SM handles with the hashtags. As we draw close to the day, I'm going to request you to take a couple of minutes and provide your feedback on today's session. Please bring up the feedback form. Here we have a range of questions for you, and your answers will help us understand your experience at today's session. Question 1. How would you rate today's session on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the minimum and 5 being the maximum? Question 2. How would you rate our speakers today on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the minimum and 5 being the maximum? Question 3. Is there anything else you wish the sessions covered in today's topic? Question 4. Would you like to suggest a topic that you wish to hear from us during Diversity Mahotsav? If yes, please give your suggestion in the text box. Last and final question. What is your takeaway from today's session? While you fill in your valuable feedback, Let me reiterate about the next session of Diversity Mahotsav that is coming up on Thursday, 15 December. On Thursday, we will feature Dr. Nandini Murali, Vice President, Learning and Research, Avatar Group, on a workshop on the topic Goal-Orientedness. Do join us on 15 December, Thursday, between 4 to 5 p.m. Signing off today is Archana Satish. Take care, stay safe.